Hello, everyone. My name is Jeremy Young, and I work in product security at Asurion. Thank you so much for joining my session and to everyone involved with putting on SnykCon this year. A virtual conference still requires a lot of work, and the organizers have done a fantastic job. I didn't follow a traditional path to land my dream job in security. I went to school to be a meteorologist and, honestly, thought I'd be forecasting tropical weather systems by now. Fate, though, kept me around the Nashville area, helped me meet my future wife, and to get my first job out of school as a Linux administrator for a US government contractor. I worked there for a few years, learning some good and bad habits, fielding questions from developers, and responding to alarms at all hours of the night. Perhaps most importantly, I had to work to meet the compliance guidelines set forth by our government. Helping to migrate one of our applications to AWS gave me a new opportunity, one to see the power, flexibility, and scalability of the cloud. That experience helped me get a DevOps role at Asurion, one I held until about a year ago. Working with really fast-moving teammates is great, but believe it or not, I missed some of the challenges associated with securing our applications and infrastructure like I had previously been responsible for in my prior role. I spent about 6 months at Asurion when the opportunity arose to become one of our company's first security mavens. What we call mavens is something I've heard referred to as a security champion in other places. I jumped at the chance to get involved with security while simultaneously executing my DevOps responsibilities. Receiving more focused training helped me apply my operations history in a DevSecOps role, one that I hope has helped reshape our interactions with product for the better. It may, when described, resonate with those of you from larger enterprises, some all too familiar with business continuity requirements, contractual obligations, and risk-averse management, leading to a growing unpaid technical debt. Product teams at Asurion have, for years, been afforded relatively free rein to choose their application stack and any supporting infrastructure. We have teams deploying to some function as a service backend, building and shipping container images to Kubernetes, and even running on EC2 instances. Some teams use Node, some use Python or Rust. Needless to say, this freedom can create a few management and operational headaches. That free rein, though, leads to fast-moving and happy engineers who aren't constrained by one-size-fits-all decisions. When those who get the phone calls in the middle of the night choose their own destiny, that ownership helps build a purpose, one that can pay back the technical debt too many large companies carry with them. Now pause for a second and juxtapose our experience in product with that of, traditionally, at least, our security team. Security at Asurion, like a lot of large companies, has been reactive in responding to application threats. We've always lacked complete visibility into our products and have compiled an impressive roster of third-party software to fill in the gaps. That third-party software all too often has failed to integrate with the litany of CI tools or visualization tooling used by product and security. Struggling to get up to speed sows distrust between security and product. So what are we to do? Hope for the best? Maintain the status quo? Of course not. That's where my team comes in. My background in operations helped change the lenses through which I examined the work our teams were doing. Instead of statements like, "Oh, look what the developers have done now," we say things like, "How can we help?" Having empathy and being a good partner are much more productive and build long-lasting relationships that help us get real work done. Those skeletons that we all know are out there, they're not hidden away when the bad cop isn't swooping in, dropping the hammer. Product security at Asurion, we own our CI/CD toolkit and aim to do just that, be great partners and get work done. Our toolkit is just enough glue to connect our off-the-shelf software to the different CI engines in use by our teams. Developer-first tooling, like that provided by Snyk, tooling driven by well-documented APIs, has made this much simpler to build, allowing us to include software composition analysis, container image vulnerability scanning, security-focused regression testing, secret scanning, static analysis, and even infrastructure as code scanning, all into a single package. That single package is one security can test and own. Plugging in anywhere, we can run a container. We want to be additive to our existing processes. Our goal is to avoid having to tear down the castle, one built from a lot of hard work and battles fought by our team over the years. Our toolkit is built to try and solve any struggles encountered with our current operations and security. Rather than take the high effort, high risk approach of replacing anything, let alone everything, why not adopt the DevSecOps practices all of us buzzword loving tech nerds have been hearing about? Why not be developer first ourselves and meet our team where they are, providing them with information and, of course, empowering them to do the right thing? After all, at Asurion, we're all on the same team and we're all in it together, working for our customers. Being better partners builds trust and openness, key factors in our future success as a company. Our team uses Python as the basis for the toolkit. We package our set of scanners in a container image and also have a shell script that we provide to teams who, for any reason, prefer something closer to metal than the container image may provide them. Some great ideas that have come from our users even include building an AMI with our toolkit pre-installed. This way, users whose build environments execute on virtual machines, they don't have to worry about any distribution-specific dependencies and can just launch runners derived from our image, tailored, of course, to suit their needs. Our product security toolkit is built nightly, allowing us to continuously merge and test new features ourselves with early adopters. We tag releases so teams can pin to specific versions if desired, and we work to release as frequently as we can. As with any product, user feedback is critical to address bug fixes and make enhancements that include any best practices and policy that we want to or need to enforce. Requiring encryption of all those data stores in the cloud? Done. Disallowing high severity issues for public-facing applications to reach production? Easy peasy. Speed up execution of scans to avoid too much delay in the execution of a pipeline? We can handle that too. Through lunch and learn sessions and private demonstrations, large and small, we've been able to build a community of users around our tool. When our only real dependency is running a container, it's easy for us to embed our tooling in such a way that all developers can get scanning quickly. Questions and feature requests come in through chat. Documentation, video demonstrations, and examples of integrating our toolkit with Jenkins or others are available for on-demand review. Our toolkit is meant to be a suite of tooling that we hope adds value to a product team's development process. Teams, they're not required to use our tool, but by doing so, they'll get our continued support, of course, and new features, build breaking where appropriate, as well as the visibility that makes our executives happy. Central to our design is the telemetry that we gather at runtime. When a team runs our toolkit, they're asked to provide their team name, what we call a platform tag. This data, collated by that team name, is scan results from each of our tools. It's used to trigger developer response by breaking a build. This data is also sent to an API that we manage for ingesting information into our SIEM. By involving the SIEM, we gain the insight and visibility security was always missing. We add to the existing processes of security. Our SIEM can notify key stakeholders of new issues that breach a severity threshold that they care about. The SIEM provides for searchable history and more company-wide context, informing our vulnerability management program of separate instances of a particular vulnerability, whether it's part of a public-facing infrastructure or internal, and whether there's a known public exploit. Moreover, back to our developer-first mantra that we're all too happy to steal from our Snyk partners, we can dashboard a team's current security status on their behalf. Imagine being a team lead who's been asked to present for your senior management or some C-suite, a group who wants to understand risk. What do you tell them? How do you answer questions like, how secure are we? If you're using our toolkit, we try and answer those questions for you with the kind of charts and graphs that every VP loves to see. Trending data on vulnerability count and frequently encountered issues have earned us some warm feedback from our customers. Frequently encountered issues could be good candidates for training and knowledge sharing. Our executives like the collaboration, of course, and the data. While our primary customers are our teams and product, there's no reason that penetration testers wouldn't make use of our automation tool too. A large chunk of our testing is done with a gray or even white box approach, allowing us to look at source code while testing a single or a set of resources. Tools like Snyk improve upon those white box tests by highlighting key areas for a tester to focus. Our toolkit generates a lot of data from the code we scanned. That data has some immediate use cases, especially around tracking the retention of teams using our toolkit. We can track which teams have used our tool, but for some reason stopped. We can track which teams skip build breaking and maybe have informed conversations about why. We use frequent scanners as examples, especially those who burn down that backlog of security tech debt much more quickly than others. All of these topics should spawn conversations between security and our teammates to identify opportunities for continued growth. Anyone interested in helping us build a more robust rule set, codify all the best practices that are all too often left as tribal knowledge, or even help fix a silly bug, have an open project at Asurion that they can contribute to. We actively solicit help and input from anyone willing. It does, of course, help us scale. We're a small team. Offering someone in product or elsewhere a chance to work on something different, something out of their element, and focus on something else for a while proves refreshing to those who find themselves stuck in the doldrums, moving to the beat of the Scrum Master. Using a toolkit like ours, we work to reduce workload, not inadvertently create problems like all too many automated security scanners are really good at doing. Our friends on the risk and vulnerability management teams, they appreciate our toolkit because of the insight we've gained into each team that's been onboarded. Think about that 0-day vulnerability, the one that keeps the CISO up at night. When it's publicized and the script kiddies start getting to work, we need to be able to answer key questions like, are we publicly exposed? How many teams use this problematic open source license? Or how many teams use this vulnerable package? Snyk, once again, has helped getting this data much easier. We've matured as an organization by having tooling that doesn't get in our way. Security mavens now, they help evangelize good coding practices and partner with our team to implement the automation we offer with our toolkit. After all, having a machine tell a developer that they've done something wrong or that there exists room for growth, that's much easier to deal with than when it comes from a teammate. Let the robots do the hard conversations for you. Even beyond the direct benefits of our scanning tools, something more human has come from our toolkit when it's integrated into a team's process. Scan results are now the basis for security-focused code review, and they help prioritize the backlog or what efforts are undertaken on a Tech Debt Friday or however your team may implement something like that. I know of examples where a SQL injection bug we didn't know even existed gets confirmed by humans during code review and then fixed when a security maven partners with the author of that original code. That mentorship builds relationships and camaraderie, which is again key to our ongoing success. Security is no longer perceived as a roadblock, but instead as an enabler. Snyk, again, is a key tool in our toolkit. Beyond the container image security scanning and software composition analysis that we use today, the integrations with third-party tools like Artifactory, Kubernetes, or even AWS allow us to reach all teams, even the least mature teams that may lack a pipeline or have yet to pay back other technical debt. Moving forward, our plans include adding on-demand DAST scanning for dynamic application security testing. We want to add that to our toolkit, and even additional scanners for our mobile development teams. We even have some machine learning applications that we're exploring. With this generated data, we want to work to trigger a security operations response when appropriate. A task like revoking a compromised API key or password committed to Git no longer requires a bridge phone call when we can automate the validity of those credentials and, if needed, expire it on demand. Our automation complements the great work by our red and blue teams, and it moves us forward closer towards continuous assessment. Anything we can do to help mature our security practices and get out of our team's way, we'll do. Partners like Snyk have really helped jumpstart our effort to reach our goals. We're definitely not perfect. In fact, I'd say we got a lot of room to keep growing, but no enterprise is perfect. Companies tend to be held back by their own inertia, something Asurion is no stranger to. In this case, our CI/CD toolkit and the work put into getting people and processes in place has gotten us in motion. The inertia is now out of the way and getting Asurion on the DevSecOps bandwagon. The fantastic team that I work with, Red and Blue, is collaborating now in ways we'd only dreamed of a few years ago. If we walk over to ask a friend to lunch, the developers that we walk by, they don't duck under their desks anymore. If we can do it, so can you.